Finally, it's the moment we all have been waiting for. Chernobyl episode 5. It's been a very fun and informative journey, and it's unfortunate that it has to come to an end, but that also opens doors for new opportunities and new videos and series for me to react to. Since, as most of you know, the last video of Chernobyl episode 4 got demonetized, and if you want to keep supporting this channel and keep these kinds of videos coming, you can go ahead and check my support page. I will leave a link in the description down below. And without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for her. Like we saw in the previous episode that she had a miscarriage, or actually the kid died basically once it was born. And also her husband passed away, so she's been through a lot, that's for sure. You kidding me? How is he still alive? I know how. It's because he sent everyone down to the reactor hall to check at the core, but he never went there or near the reactor. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve to live where the other people died, that he sent them down there. Okay, never mind. All of this was just a recap. So maybe it was even before the accident.
It's safe. We'll maintain at 1600. I'll go home, get some sleep, come back tonight. We'll proceed then. I'll personally supervise the test.
The Arrogance. It's safe. Even though the person who is in charge in his office, not working at the reactor, knew that there will be fluctuations and instabilities, that the reactor's power will be reduced to a lower amount than it's supposed to work at. But the head engineer that works in the reactor operation room, he's like, it's safe. Didn't even take a time to think about it.
Call me when it's done.
He's gonna call you alright when it's done. Okay, so we had a time flash from the past and now we came back to the, let's say, recent time of the episode 5. His hair is falling. I feel so bad for him because he actually invested so much of his time and energy to help resolve the problem. However, he didn't know the problem, right? Because he was, or his colleague was the one who authored the paper, right? Exposing the truth that was then hidden than the female scientist found. So yeah, I mean, it's not that he had the power to do anything about it, but yeah, I do feel bad for the people who actually tried to do something and then, I guess, died or, you know, had some health issues because of that.
Chokov is saying they're going to fix the reactors after the trial.
Do you believe him? The state will never willingly fix the reactors because acknowledging the problem means admitting that they lied. They will have to be forced.
Yeah, of course. If they just, the KGB gave him a promise of, yeah, you go lie on the trial and then we're going to discuss about fixing the reactor. That's never going to happen. They're going to probably silence you much faster than they will try or even attempt to fix the reactor's problem, which is going to take, I don't even know how much money and how much time, because all of the reactors of the Soviet Union were of that type and they all seem to have the same problem. So I fully agree with her. And I mean, I get that, you know, going to Vienna and basically lying about the situation, but when it comes to what happens within your country, you might as well say it and, you know, expect from people to fix something. It's not like he has a lot of years to live, right? To say that, okay, I'm gonna lie to save my life or to save my family. He doesn't really have anyone and he doesn't have much years ahead of him, so I don't know. I guess he might as well sacrifice for the greater good.
I'd like to think that if I spoke out, it would be enough. But I know how the world works.
Interesting. So basically, she's not as popular and not as a male to be, let's say, to get other people convinced. So yeah, based on the previous comments I got from the previous episode, I do understand that she is a fictional character representing all the rest of the scientists, basically, who tried and helped with the situation and advised Legasov. But I like how she said that. It gives me kind of a dual interpretation. First off, she might not be that popular, might not have so many like credits or reputation in the field, but it also might mean that because they handpicked a female actor to play this, actress to play this, it might show that because she's also a female, she might not be listened to as much as a more, let's say, famous male scientist in the Soviet Union would be. And I know that a female scientist in the Soviet Union years would not have the same accreditation or same acknowledgement or even same attention given to her than a male scientist in the Soviet Union times.
They will shoot me. Khomyuk.
Oh, they will kill you. Definitely. This will be interesting. I have been looking forward to this for far too long. Let's see. This is nice. They're bringing like a mock-up, smaller version of the reactor building so they can start explaining the physics in a more simpler way. I like that. This is very clever. Yeah, this is very nice. This is very nice. I like this. Actually, a very smart way of talking to the jury and to the judge and everybody actually try to understand the situation, that not only they are not knowledgeable in physics, let alone in nuclear physics, but they've never might have been in the nuclear reactor or the reactor building and knowing how the core is and all of that. So yeah, they get points for that.
It began with, of all things, a safety test.
Ironic.
Why was there need for a safety test at all? Comrade Brekhanov was awarded Hero of Socialist Labor.
So basically he signed the paper that the construction and maybe all the testing was completed and everything was fully functioning and in place as it should be before the year, so he can get his award without perhaps actually conducting the test that he was supposed to conduct. Pretty much what I have understood from these episodes and generally from my experience in the countries of former Soviet Union, it was all about proving yourself to the state. So the more you did for the state, the better citizen, person, professional, whatever you were considered for the country, without really considering the ramifications of your actions in the moment or in the long term.
A nuclear reactor generates heat in the core here. A series of pumps here and here.
I'm proud of him. Throughout all of this time that he spent trying to deal with the situation of the Chernobyl accident, he actually learned about the reactor building, how the reactor operates, the RBMK type, the problem, how the accident happened, all the sequence. So I'm very proud of him. I really, really like this actor. I like the personality that he plays in the series, and I really like the development of the persona in the series. So yeah, my favorite character by far.
Comrade Pamyat.
Oh my God, she's gonna say everything. I'm so looking forward to this.
It created two problems. One of them is scientific in nature, and the other is very human.
Yes, the human is the fact that 10 hours later you had the night shift, and the night shift were all 20-year-old scientists with less than a few years of experience, probably not in a real reactor, maybe some simulation or just textbooks.
At midnight, there was a shift change.
Here.
You know the test they're supposed to run?
No, he doesn't
on
know.
the day shift, so they've given it to us.
To us? I know what it is.
It's fine.
It's fine, he said to the very young, inexperienced engineer who clearly is expressing to you that he's not comfortable with the test because he doesn't even know what the test is about. And you're about to perform it in this instance, and you're like, it's fine, we'll figure it out as we go. As if you're running an ice cream making machine. People irritate me because people got lost, so many people died because of this accident, so much bad things happened, from most of it being, let's say, arrogance of the people who were not experienced to do such tests, but they still proceeded with it.
Dyatlov is going to be supervising.
I have to do something I've never done before with Dyatlov looking over my shoulder.
Oh, don't worry. We'll do it together. Just look at the instructions now.
Are we supposed to do those or not?
I suppose you just wing it and see what happened.
We've been cleared to run the test. Now, is it too much to ask that you all know what you're doing?
Well, yes.
It is too much to ask that they all know what they're doing, because they don't know what they're doing, because they've never been trained to do this test. Did he even take the time to train them? Did he even take the time to explain what the test is about? Not even training them, let alone, I don't know, investing time in training people on how to properly run something that can kill you. One word I have for this person is, again, arrogance. He started the night shift without even knowing if people are properly trained. If you were so sure that you want to do the test, why didn't you take the experienced people from the morning shift or whatever people were supposed to run this test to begin with, and they run it with you? Or they do a double shift or something like that. So you know exactly that the people who knew and were trained to do it, they know how to do it.
I've never done this with the power so low before. It's okay, I'm with you.
He's like, it's okay, I'm with you. To what? If something happens, if an explosion happens, what you gonna do? Revert it?
All of 25 years old. And his total experience on the job, 4 months.
4 months.
This is the human problem created by the delay. But inside the reactor core, in the space between the atoms themselves, something far more dangerous is forming. A poison.
So what she was referring to as poison is the so-called xenon poisoning. So while the reactor is kept at a lower power than it is supposed to operate, a xenon is generated, and xenon as an element has a tendency to absorb neutrons. So basically that's why it's called poison, because it kind of slows down to almost kills the fission reaction, depending for how long it's gonna stay there, and it can cause instabilities amongst other things. But in this case, it can, if stayed and generated in a very big amount inside the reactor core without being removed, can actually kill the fission reaction. So the power goes so low that it's much below the level that they were expecting, let's say the 700, which was the number that they were told by the test. So then when it goes that low, without you having lowered the power that much, and you don't know really the physics or what's happening in the test itself, or for how long has this reactor been on 1600, even though it was supposed to be performed in the morning, the test. So then you really don't know why the power is so low, so you try figuring out creative ways of increasing your power, as withdrawing all the control rods from the reactor that they tried to do before. I appreciate the suspense of everyone just says like a few words and then they leave, and then it's like,
Comrade Legasov.
more explanation and visual interpretation of the incident and the accident. I like it.
The reactivity which generates power either goes up or it goes down.
I like how the signs are actually Russian. I appreciate that, keeping it authentic and real.
If you can't understand how a stalled nuclear reactor could lead to an explosion, I don't blame you. After all, you don't work in the control room of a nuclear power plant.
Exactly. I don't understand how not the people who were the younger ones, the inexperienced ones, from which I still expect to understand the physics of the reactor. Otherwise, how do you even work in a nuclear power plant operating a reactor? But from the people above, like Dyatlov, and even the people who approved the test to be run in the night, knowing that it's going to stay for 10 hours, you didn't think of xenon poisoning? I don't even understand. This is basic for a nuclear scientist. It's basic.
What is this?
I'm not even touching it.
At this point, you might as well have let the xenon eat all the neutrons, poison their whole core, and just cool it down until you figure out what to do.
Didn't do everything right because you're choking my reactor. Get it back up.
So if you thought that the core was poisoned, or why didn't you think that while the core was staying at half power for 10 hours?
Sense.
Raise the power.
No. I won't do it. It isn't safe.
He fought for it. We didn't see that in the first episodes. I'm glad. At least this person who looks a little bit more experienced than the rest of the people in the room, he fought for it. So I give him that. By the way, for people who might not know, all these small devices with monitors that they wear on their chest are dosimeters. So they're all measuring the amount of radiation that people are receiving. And usually nowadays what it happens is at the end of the day you kind of put it in a machine, and it basically counts all the radiation and the dose that the person has been exposed to, and you control your limit. So if you, let's say, have been exposed more than you should, then maybe you shouldn't be working in that particular area of the factory until the end of the month, or how much time it needs to pass for your safety limits and the appropriate dose limits to fall down, so you can go back to those areas and work. Can't do much, can you? Probably the worst idea in mind to have you cannot raise the power of the reactor because the xenon has literally poisoned the whole core now, and there's no neutrons anymore to cause fission. And the most brilliant idea that scientists who studied the science that they're working on have come with is, let's withdraw all the control rods. Almost all the control rods, 205 rods out of 211, they withdrew out of a ginormous reactor core, and leaving only 11 inside, which is pretty much nothing, in case something happens, even though they are the same people who 5 minutes ago disagreed with their superior about the fact that it's not safe to raise the power so quickly, yet they're doing it while withdrawing every safety this reactor has to protect itself from overpowering, overheating, fuel melt, explosions, etc., etc. And on top of that, they're even shutting down all the safety systems because they're bothering them in the way, because they cannot basically make the reactor so unsafe as they want to with the safety systems in place. How do you think all of this and think this is a good idea? I don't understand.
Circulation operators are in the pump room.
Impressively, everybody understands that the thing is wrong, except for the person who is in charge that must understand that something is wrong. How much should you be driven by greed and excessive ambition to think of doing this and proceeding in this kind of way? Just for what? For a promotion? You'll probably die within the next few years anyways. But then again, no, because he sent everybody else to the reactor core but himself.
The remaining Xenon decays away.
So now you don't even have xenon poison in your core, so everything you have leading towards a more positive reactivity, more heat, more power, without any control. Because you've withdrew all of your control rods and everything else you could in the reactor that actually kept things in some sort of control at least.
What did you do?
What did he mean by what did you do? You were all in the same control room, nobody's touching anything, yet you are screaming at the person who didn't touch anything. What did you do? Just because they noticed that something is going wrong based on your orders and commands for something to be done, even though you knew it's all wrong anyways.
In every control room of every nuclear reactor in the world, there is a button with one single purpose: to instantly shut down the reaction. In Soviet reactors,
meaning that all the control rods are dropped inside the reactor immediately to basically kill the fission, absorb all the neutrons and shut down the reactor.
but
Is he gonna say it? Because now is the critical moment. If he's going to blame it all to the people and the operators like the Soviet Union wanted, to just show that, you know, there's just a few incompetent men who didn't know what they were doing, that's why we had this disaster, or will you talk about the problem of the RBMK design that the Soviet Union has, the one that we discussed in the previous episode, that the tip of the control rods are actually made of graphite, which doesn't absorb neutrons but just displaces the water, creating an even worse situation that would probably not matter in normal operation but did matter very much in this case, hence needs to be addressed and fixed immediately. So let's see.
the shutdown system had a fatal flaw.
Oh my God, he's saying it and nobody has any idea. Look at the Adlov's face. He's like, what? What do you mean flaw? I was waiting, you know, I was hoping for that S85.
The tips are made of graphite, which accelerates reactivity.
Why?
Cost.
It's cheaper.
All the scientists are already chatting between them. Oh my God.
It's now complete.
I appreciate the cinematography and all of this very, let's say, vivid representation of what actually happened. It's actually very interesting to see and kind of think of how it happened, right? Because definitely some people who experienced the Chernobyl accident might have described it and therefore might be more accurate, or I'm not sure how much of a Hollywood-like are these scenes. But nevertheless, very good to give a, you know, representation of sort of an understanding of how such accident might look like, approximately.
We're following orders.
Professor Legasov, if you mean to suggest the Soviet state is somehow...
That's exactly what he means to suggest, that the Soviet state is somehow responsible for keeping this secret, as if it is the first time that the Soviet state has withheld important information from its people that can basically alter your life completely. It shocks me, you know, the pretentious surprise, as if like you didn't expect for the Soviet Union to do something like that.
Because of our secrets and our lies. They're practically what define us.
He's definitely a dead man. He didn't live to even get cancer from the radiation probably that he received from the Chernobyl, because he was probably killed by KGB way before that.
Sooner or later, that debt is paid. That is how an RBMK reactor core explodes.
This is kind of a remembrance to the first episode that The people were asking, well, do you have an explanation? How does it explode? And none of the engineers could answer. And the other was like, see, because it doesn't explode. It's not possible. Well, that's how.
Lies.
Legasov can kiss his life goodbye.
No one's getting shot, Legasov.
By the state. It will not be disseminated in the press.
Wow.
It never happened.
See, that's why I would have made the actual testimony in Vienna, so the whole world knows and everybody puts pressure on the Soviet Union and they cannot turn the other way. And I would just have never went back to it.
Your legacy is now there. You'll live long enough to see that.
So what? These people pride so much on this like legacy and the name you're gonna leave behind and whatever. They forget that they live in the now. And you need to deal with the situations that are happening now. So if you only care about what legacy you're going to leave in 50 years from now when you die, then what are you doing now? Like, isn't this how you build your legacy?
It will be exceedingly hard to know that you ever lived at all.
Relax. Everyone, the whole world knows who he is.
If I refuse?
Why worry about something that isn't going to happen?
Oh, that's perfect. They should put that on our money.
Okay, well, that was Chernobyl HBO series for you. Great series, in my opinion. Very nice, educational for the most part. Of course, as a series, they would probably have some exaggerations to make things a little bit more interesting. In my opinion, they could have kept it more educational, scientific. Don't put the extra stuff there just to spice it up because it's a series. So it's actually factual information so people can learn and understand from, but I do understand the cinematic aspect of it. Nevertheless, I do suggest this series to people to watch. I would very gladly watch it again. It is very interesting to me, every detail, every nuance and everything and how it happened, the people, their actions and who suffered, who sacrificed, who took decisions, who acted without thinking and everything. To me, this series is definitely one of my top favorite series that I've watched so far. I want to know your thoughts and your opinions and what did you think about this episode and generally about the whole series altogether. What would you like to see? What would you like to, let's say, change? Leave your comments down below and I'll read all of them and I'll let you know, guys, what I think as well. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and also let me know what you would like me to react to next, maybe a movie or another series with a few episodes in. Don't forget that you can watch the full uncut reaction of this video in my support page. You can find the link to it in the description down below. Thanks for watching. It's been Elina, your friendly nuclear physicist, and until next time, see you soon.